Hello viewers, yes, this is your Ranjana ma'am back and you are watching your channel. So today I'll be dealing with an ISC poem. So my ISC students, you should be feeling happy because many of you always feel that I'm doing everything for ICSC. So today it's John Brown. Yeah, you have that in your class 11 syllabus. John Brown is an anti-war poem, and yes, I have got some requests also regarding John Brown. So here I am. But as I always say before I start my lecture, I always ask you whether you have subscribed to my channel. If you have not, please do. Press the like button if you have liked my video and share it with your friends. Yeah, if you feel you have been benefited, why not share it with your friends? Even they would be benefited. And yes, today is Teachers' Day. I have received many best wishes, good wishes from YouTube channel as well as from my students of my coaching, from my ex-students. Yeah, that is the best thing, when you teach and you get the best wishes, they are fine. But when your students have passed, they have left you and they are doing fine in life and still they remember you and send their best wishes and greetings, that is very wonderful. That shows that they still remember me and I love it. Quite a few of them. I wouldn't say all, honestly, but many of them. And that number is only overwhelming. So, and yes, all of you in YouTube, my students of YouTube, those who have wished me, I am really very, very happy to receive your wishes. And I thank you from the core of my heart. May God bless you. Okay, so without wasting any more time, let's go back to John Brown. John Brown went off to war to fight on a foreign shore. His mama sure was proud of him. He stood straight and tall in his uniform and all. His mama's face broke out all in a grin. So here we find a young man whose life is just opening up. But he is being sent to fight on a foreign shore. His mother, she feels very proud. My son looks so handsome. So he's standing so handsome in his uniform. So she smiles. So I think she doesn't think deeper into this. Superficially, on the outward level, she looks at his appearance. He looks so handsome, but has she ever given thought that what could happen to him in the war? She doesn't. That is why she could smile on seeing him looking tall and smart in his uniform. Oh son, you look so fine. I'm glad you're a son of mine. You make me proud to know you hold a gun. Do what the captain says, lots of medal you will get and we will put them on the wall when you come home. So she seems to be a little bit feather-brained, a little bit silly. So she's very happy. Oh, my son, you're looking so handsome. You're a son of mine and I'm proud of you. I'm proud to see that you can hold a gun. So listen to what the captain says and you will get a lot of medals. So to her, getting of the medal is more important than the safety of her son. And she's more bothered about hanging them on the walls to show off. We'll put them on the wall when you come home. So in this way, she bids farewell to her son. As that old train pulled out, so the train which takes him from his hometown to the front, John's ma began to shout. So she shouts at the top of her voice, making the neighborhood people aware that her son has gone to join the war. That's my son that's about to go. He's a soldier now, She made well sure her neighbors understood. Yes, I said this is bragging. She is trying to show her neighbors or trying to make them understand, hey, that's my son, he's going to the war. After this, what happens? She got a letter once in a while and her face broke into a smile. As she showed them to the people from the next door, she takes the letter. See, this is my son John Brown's letter. It has come from the war front. He has written to me. Again, that pride. And she bragged about her son with his uniform and gun. And these things we call the good old-fashioned war. Oh, good old-fashioned war. So she's very proud. Whenever she received a letter, she felt proud and she smiled as she went and showed the letters to her next door neighbors, and she showed off about her son holding a gun and looking so splendid in his uniform. And the poet is mocking. This line is a bit ironical when he says, and these things you call the good old-fashioned war. So that no war is good. No war is good. War is always evil. Because it results in a lot of casualty, death of many people, destruction and everything. So it can never be a good war, good old-fashioned war. Now see what happened after this. Then the letters ceased to come. That means they stopped coming. For a long time they did not come. So there is a big gap. For a long time there were no letters coming from John Brown. They ceased to come for about 10 months or more. So in this way 10 months passed, but no letters came from John Brown. Then a letter finally came saying, go down and meet the train, your son is coming home from the war. So after this, what happens? Suddenly one day a letter comes. But these lines can make you aware that they are not coming from his son. This letter is not coming from her son. Sorry, I said his. This letter is not coming from her son. Why? Because the letter says, go down and meet the train, your sons are coming home. If it had been from John Brown, he would have said, Ma, I'm coming home. No, nothing like that. Your son is coming home. That means a third party is informing John Brown's mother that you go down and meet the train because your son is returning from the war in that train. She smiled. Yeah, my son is coming back, and she must be thinking, oh, how many medals will my son be bringing back with him so that I can decorate the walls of my room. Then the letter ceased to come. Sorry. She smiled and went right down. She looked everywhere around, but she could not see her soldier son in sight. So she went to the station and then she is looking all around, but she can't find her son anywhere. So she expected her handsome soldier son standing there in his uniform and gun, but no, there is no trace of him. But as all the people passed, she saw her son at last. When she did, she could hardly believe her eyes. So after the people left the station, those who had come in that train, they cleared up the station, and then she could identify her son. And when she saw him, as if it was incredible, she could hardly believe what she saw. Why? Just see what. Oh, his face was all shut up and his hand was all blown off, and he wore a metal brace round his waist. He whispered kind of slow in a voice she did not know, while she couldn't even recognize his face. So this is what happens. If you come back without a scar, you are lucky. But these are the things very natural in a war. This is why people don't really wish for a war to happen, because it takes so much from you, it hardly returns you anything. So just see the precarious condition in which John Brown is, the pathetic condition. Face all shot up. His hand was blown off. And he wore a metal brace around his waist. So what will the metal brace do? It will support him to stand. He whispered kind of slow in a voice she did not know. So he whispered in a very low voice, and this voice she could not identify. This was not the voice she was accustomed to hear from her son. And face, though she could hardly recognize. This is my son John Brown. I don't know this face. It's so horrible, so ugly. His face has become so mutilated and ugly that even a mother has to turn her face away from her son. Oh Lord, not even recognize his face. So she could hardly recognize the face of her own son, that face of which she was so proud. Oh, tell me, my darling son, pray tell me what they done. How is it you come to be this way? So then she is really shattered and she is asking her son, son, please tell me, my darling, please tell me that what happened to you? How did you become like this? So what does the son answer? He tried his best to talk, but his mouth could hardly move. See, his face was all shot up. So naturally his mouth could hardly move. He had been so badly injured, the face especially, so badly injured. Not only the face, even he could not stand. His hand was blown up. That means the explosion must have taken place very close to him. So though he's making every effort to talk, but his mouth could hardly move. And he looked maybe so grotesque that the mother turned her face away. Don't you remember, Ma, when I went off to war, you thought it was the best thing I could do? So he is asking, Ma, have you forgotten that when I was leaving for the war, you thought that this was the best thing for me to do? I was on the battleground, you were home acting proud. You wasn't there standing in my shoes, yes. So she was in the safety of her home, cozily tucked in her room. And this boy, he was in the battlefield facing all the dangers. So she was not in his shoes. She was not experiencing the condition. So unless you take part in a war, you don't know how horrible it is. Oh, and I thought when I was there means battlefield. God, what am I doing here? I'm trying to tell somebody or die trying. But the thing that scared me most was when my enemy came close and I saw that his face looked just like mine. So in the battlefield, this thought haunts him. That, oh my God, what am I doing here? I'm trying to kill somebody or trying to get killed in the process. Yeah, in the war, either you kill or you get killed. But what was most horrifying to him was enemy. He had thought, oh, enemy must be a horrible person. But when he faces his enemy, he says, oh my God, he's just another young boy like me. So this is what happens. They are the victims really of war. They are slaughtered, these young lives, slaughtered at the altar of war. They are like sacrificial animals slaughtered at the altar of war by the warmongers. Oh Lord, just like mine. So he's nothing different. Only he represents maybe another country, but he's just like mine. And I couldn't help but think, through the thunder rolling and sting, that I was just a puppet in a play. And through the roar and smoke, the string is finally broke. And a cannonball blew my eyes away. So he says that I couldn't stop thinking, through the thunder, yes, the machine guns and all that, the artillery, they are making so much noise and stink. Why? Because of the rotting of the bodies, the thunder, the cannons, killing the soldiers, their body lying strewn in the battlefield, so much of bloodshed. So naturally there will be stink. The bodies of the dead soldiers are stinky. And through this, what does he realize? A big realization comes to him. And what does he realize? That I was just a puppet in a play. Puppet, we say na, Katputli. So they are controlled by the strings. The puppeteer controls them with the help of strings. These puppets have no mind or willpower of their own. They are controlled by someone else. So at this moment, while fighting in the war, he realizes that he is nothing but a puppet in a play. And through the roar and smoke, the string is finally broke and a cannonball blew my eyes away. So as he was contemplating on this serious thought, what happened? A cannonball came and exploded in front of him, and he was unmindful. So he didn't notice what was happening, and he realized it when he was badly injured. So all of a sudden he was busy thinking about this truth, and then a cannonball comes and his eyes are blown away because it comes and explodes very close to him. Remember what you are told, his face was all shot up and his eyes was all blown off. So his eyes away means he has become blind also. He has become blind, his face so badly injured that he can hardly speak, his hand blown off, he is so badly injured at the bottom part also that he can hardly stand. He has he has to take the support of the metal brace to keep standing. That means though physically he is alive, it's like the living corpse, and he's emotionally shattered. As he turned to walk away, his ma was still in shock. So now he doesn't want to live with his mother. He's just walking away. And mother still in a state of shock at seeing the metal brace that helped him stand. So mother, she watches her son. Oh my God, he can't stand on his own. He needs the support of a metal brace to stand. But as he turned to go, he called his mother close and he dropped his medals down into her hand. So as he was about to leave, he suddenly realizes, oh, something is incomplete. Why did I go to war? Because my mother was very eager that I should join it and bring a lot of medals back home, and she would decorate the walls. So this is what he does. She had wanted the medals. So let me give her the medals. So giving the medals, he just leaves her and goes. So this is a very nice poem, and it is as if an eye opener that try to desist from war. This is an anti-war poem, and many of us, we who don't face the realities of war or the gruesomeness of war by being in the battlefield, we do not know how horrible it can be. Only those who go and face it, they know what it is. So, John Brown's mother was the same. She only thought in the superficial level that my son will go to the war, he will fight bravely, and he will bring me a lot of medals. Did she ever think that my son can be killed in the process, or worse, he would be injured so badly that life will itself become a burden for him? Death would be a preferable option to this sort of life. So, you might get a question regarding the futility of war. So the theme, what is the theme? That futility of war, you can say, and the use of dialogues has made the poem quite interesting. And while you are going for your lengthy answers, always write a little about the poem, a summary of the poem. The summary is not your full answer; it is a part of your answer. Then you will make a critical appreciation of it by dealing with the style and the figures of speech, and which is more important is irony. This poem is ironical. So it ends in an ironical note. Why? Because in the beginning, John Brown's mother was very happy that he is going to the war because she was eager to get some medals from that he should get some medals with which she will decorate her home. But at the end of the poem, when John Brown hands her the medals, she is not happy. She's in a state of shock. She had never realized that this could also be an outcome. She had always thought in a very positive manner everything will be fine. But you have to see both sides of the coin. You also have to see that he might be injured in the process, and he is injured, so badly injured that life, yes, as I said, life has become burdensome. He can't even walk, he needs a metal brace to support him. He has no eyes, he can't speak properly, his hands blown off. So, irony is that when John Brown drops the medals in his mother's hand, So instead of being happy at it, and feeling about to show off, instead of feeling happy, and instead of trying to go and running and trying to go and show it to her neighbors, she stands in a state of shock. Why? Because this is not what she had anticipated. So the medals from the son of her hand, who has become a cripple on account of the war, has made her really unhappy. So you have to prepare. This is an easy poem. You have to also prepare the title. So title is quite appropriate. Why? Because the story begins about John Brown. The poem begins about John Brown, and naturally, if the poet has named it John Brown, there is nothing wrong in it. It's quite appropriate. Though the underlying theme is war, or rather anti-war. But still, John Brown is the hero. He is representative of all those countless young soldiers who are slaughtered at the altar of war, who are just puppets in the hands of the puppeteers or the rulers, who feel glorious by engaging the country into a war. But do they ever think how these common people are affected, how these soldiers are affected, how their family gets affected? No, they don't. They sit in the comfort zone and very nicely engage in a war, only to make themselves maybe sometimes more popular. So, vainglory in war, and this idea of war has been ridiculed by the poet. So, you might get a question: how does the poet try to ridicule the idealism of war? Earlier, actually, there was a time when there were two types of war poets. One who had seen the war from very close quarters, the anti-war poets like Wilfred Owen, Siegfried Sassoon. They had taken part in the war, and they had experienced the horrors of war. So they all wrote anti-war poems, just like Bob Dylan has written that this poem, especially that part when John Brown gives his medals to his mother before leaving. And another type of poets who also wrote about the war, they glorified war. Why? Because they sat in the drawing room like John Brown's mother, and they did not have the taste of the horror that these young soldiers faced. They did not have a taste of it. So they could write from the comfort zone that war is very glorious, and going and taking part in the war for your country is too glorious. But the fact is, no war is really good. No war is really good because it kills either your people or their people. But ultimately, in the end, what happens? There is death. So many people are killed, whether it's your country or your neighboring country, but it results in the same pain, same sadness. Husbands lost, sons lost, brothers lost at the altar of war. So I think I have explained it in a comprehensive manner. You have been able to understand it well. And after this, when you are preparing for your answers, try to refer to some workbook. I always suggest Xavier Pinto because I find that that is what you really need. Means you can, but frame your answers and prepare them at home before you go to face your exams. Why? If you are spontaneous in English, if you can write spontaneously, then no problem. Then though when you see the question, you can deal with it. But suppose you are not so fluent, then it is better that you jot down the points and prepare yourself likewise, the theme, the title, and the figures of speech, summary, the poet. All these are important. Whichever answer, the beginning you can deal according to the question, and ultimately these things will be needed. And one very important thing which I need to tell you is that don't forget to quote. Quotation is a must in ISC, and you won't score well unless you quote. It is mandatory, I would say. So please, from every poem, mark down some lines which are important and then mug them up. Because see, when you are quoting in your answers, quotation means it should be complete with the punctuation, comma, full stop, colon, capital letters, whatever. You have to put them exactly as you have read it in your book. So that is why, so don't forget to quote whichever one you are doing, whichever poem. So always mark in your book some important lines that will be needed. When I see if a particular poem is coming, you know which are the important lines. So mug them up, write them down, mark them, write them down and mark them up. Because I am reminding you, just picking up the lines and writing is not enough. You have to be particular about the comma, full stop and each and every small punctuation also. If you lose it, your effort is useless. If you forget to write even one of them, it's no use. It's useless. So, from every poem and Tempest, try to pick up the lines and mark them up. You don't need like this in your ICSE, but in ISC it's very important. Your teachers must have told you this, so I don't need to tell you anymore. Anyway, so I hope you have understood it, and if you have any problems you can ask me in the comment section. And for the time being, let me bid you goodbye. Have a happy time, and if you are preparing for your exams right now, best of luck.